Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome back to another video. I want to talk about the RTX 50,000 series launch. That's it, 5,000 series launch, or lack of launch. Another paper one for us, unfortunately. I believe the 5080s are easier to get a hold of than the 5090s. The prices are just completely astronomical. Even the ones you can pre-order are £2,500 from AIBs that are triple slot, quad slots. I mean, admittedly, they're probably the ones which are a point I've not seen raised by anybody else, but how are you going to water cool the FE versions with the daughter boards? Seems like your water block is going to have to do a lot more heavy lifting now to accommodate that. So you probably are actually better off with a add-in board partner card and then blocking that if that's what you wanted to do. I mean, that would be the way I would go about wanting to do it. But the price, even at 1,900 and whatever, is just it's way too much. Quite frankly, particularly for what we're getting. I mean, I suppose it's really how do you want to judge the relative performance increase? If you're looking at it in terms of, it's roughly 20 to 30% more performance, like raw performance wise, rather than features that are added in that features that are being locked down for certain series cards rather than other ones, then then what we're getting a 30% performance uplift for 30% more money, and for the privilege of being able of drawing 30% more power as well. Although, kudos where it needs to be in terms of being able to put that in a 2-slot card, and from what I've seen, it seems like it's doing a good enough job, which is very impressive, and a bit of a funky design, but fair enough. And I think it kind of is a bit forgotten that in previous generations we would spend the same or slightly more than the last generation for the same tier of card, and there would be an expected performance increase. Otherwise, why would you go and buy it for the same money? Whereas NVIDIA is very much in the business now of having us pay for that performance increase, as though I hadn't thought about exactly what card they were tying it to, but as though, NVIDIA's value proposition is ultimately tied to the GTX 1080 or something, and then it goes up and down based off of that. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit all over the place, and I don't know, maybe NVIDIA still feel a little bit, I guess, like reeling, I suppose, from certain mistakes in the past, particularly if we think about like a GTX 1080 Ti, even the 3080, 3060 Ti, they're all like really good cards that have kind of beaten that price performance metric, I suppose. And then even, because of the 50 series coming out, it makes the 4090 look like a pretty good value as well, which is crazy to say. The rest of the 40 series seemed a bit poor to me, and none of it got me particularly excited. And I can get excited about mid-range and lower range cards, absolutely. I've had a lot of fun testing mid-range, lower range cards anyway, so but I think the last time I had that was probably the 3060 Ti. That looked like an incredibly good value card. It still is as well, by the way, as well as because it has, it's pretty powerful. It's, I think, pure performance wise, it's kind of on that GTX 1080 Ti level, but you get the advantages of having the DLSS and like a minor amount of ray tracing if that's something that you're interested in. So I've kind of gone off on a little bit of a tangent there, but the point is, paper launch for the 50 for the 5,000 series, not surprised, and hardly any units as well anywhere, even to the point where it seems like reviewers or smaller reviewers and that kind of thing who would maybe normally get a card not receiving anything. So I don't know. It's one of those where I don't feel like it's too much of a loss, because there's much better value out there in the older generations, and like I say, particularly lower down the stack. But if you're after, I need or want the highest performing card that there is, based, with the big asterisks around it on either side, you can't even get it. And it's kind of a pretty poorish value. When you consider everything, I don't mean, I guess, like Apple's, if the power draw was the same, if the power draw was the same, you'd probably, I don't know, you'd probably like almost, I guess that whole thing, what would you expect generation to generation? I'd probably say at least a 15% uplift for the same price. If you go above that 15-20%, you can charge a bit more. So based on that, it should have been about, I don't know, £1,800 max, which would then make the AIBs about £2,000, which just changes the, well, I think about 200, I don't know. But it does change the optics of how that card then fits into the stack, really. And have very much been asleep on the AMD side of things as well. And I do feel kind of bad for that. I mean, I've been sat on my current graphics card for what feels like a pretty decently long time now. But it looks like AMD have been doing some really good work in, that kind of not quite top level, but in the rung below category. And I think that they've got a really good opportunity here with whatever they come out with. I think particularly if they can butt up against and maybe even surpass the 4080. Mainly because like the NVIDIA have, in my view, have lost a lot of goodwill with, consecutive launches. Even when you've had a really good value like the 3080, you just can't get one. So it's same sort of thing, paper launch. I don't remember the 4000 series being so difficult though. But yeah, and then we've got COVID and all that sort of stuff from before, right? So yeah, more difficult. But yes, I don't really know what my advice would be if you really wanted the 50 series. You can either pay the scalper prices, pre-order one for £2,500, which is just like absolutely crazy. I mean, you're well into things like, I don't know, 2 months rent, a new car, a very old car, well, not a new car, but a new to you car. It's proper serious money. And yeah, it's crazy. I'm trying to think what I paid my 4090 now. I'll have to have a look it up. But if I bought the same thing now, I'd be spending an extra £700. I would be paying £2,500. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like the people who are laughing best, if you like, are people that are still happy on their 1080 Ti, which I do have in my downstairs like home media computer. And I've got to say, it still runs stuff really well. I was actually extremely surprised. Running, 60 FPS, but running Elden Ring 4K, everything maxed out, 60 FPS, and being like, yeah, I can do that, no problem. I don't know what more. I guess well, depends what your expectations are, what you're expecting to get out of it, what you want for your cards, and without wanting to touch on some of the other videos I want to do, particularly on Black Myth Wukong, which I've recently picked up, and I'm very late to the party. I realise that. I mean, having come out in August, it's one of those ones that I missed, and very busy with lots of life stuff and playing other games and that kind of thing. But yeah, there's some real lessons that we can learn from how Black Myth Wukong performs. And I don't know if it's, getting too much into that, I don't know if it's a case of, how like some games previously have had much higher settings that are not really designed to be played at that level at the minute. They're designed for some future performance uplift, grunt to be able to take it on. Or is it, potentially one of those things that's just not been optimized whatsoever? But I don't know. It's crazy. By the way, no shade necessarily really to Black Myth at all. It is absolutely beautiful game. And I've not played a huge amount of it yet, but I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And there you go. I'm going to leave it there because I rambled too much. But yeah, it's just really disappointing to see from NVIDIA, the whole thing actually on reflection. And I've got to say, I have actually spent a little bit of time with trialing different settings with the frame gen and that kind of thing. And I've got to say, the frame gen is pretty awful for the most part. And I think that there are some really good use cases for frame gen. I had actually some other, on a flip side, I had some really good luck with it on the Steam Deck, for example, with the FSR one, with the AMD one. That turned a game from in the 40-ishes up to the 60, and it did actually feel better. which I wasn't expecting. I've been a bit of a skeptic to the frame gen stuff for the most part. But yeah, pairing it with ray tracing and then having the frame gen, I really, like, honestly, this is a spoiler. If you do watch my videos, if this is the only one that you see and you've watched this far, then fair enough. But yeah, really, I found it really jarring. There are some issues with it, and I haven't heard anyone really talk about it. I also think that the problem isn't resolved by having a 4 times frame gen. I don't think the 50 series' implementation is going to be better than how it is currently. It's just on about doing more of it, right, rather than a higher quality, I believe. I don't know. But yeah, and I need to record some examples as well from Black Myth, because that's the first time I've actually really seen it in action. Maybe I need to go and see if it does the same, has the same effect in things like Cyberpunk and that kind of thing. But yeah, not all that it's cracked up to be, I think, is the takeaway. You know, there in reality there really is no silver bullet. I think, you know, we've done quite well with how DLSS performs, and now okay, frame gen. Sure. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. I'm going to be doing a video on Black Myth Wukong on the Steam Deck, actually, because I've got it now and I have a Steam Deck, so I'm going to see how it plays. See you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.